Good afternoon, Bantes. Good afternoon, and with the permission of the Chief Reverend and Bantes, I shall commence sharing. This is a sharing on the topic, Buddhist monk as a natural leader. There is a handout. Bante Sumita, has the handout been given out? Okay, very good. Thank you. Okay, so with the use of a handout, it'll be easy to refer to. What we're going to cover in this next 1 hour is to explore the role of monks as leaders in the community. And I'm going to briefly talk about what is leadership. And then we're going to explore why a monk is a natural leader. And finally, how any monk actually can develop himself as a leader. So very simple, 3 major points, but very important lessons from the Buddha Dharma, because I will be drawing some examples from the sutras, and we will come to that. First, we have to recognize some realities in this world, the conventional world, the world that we are living in. And this is the world that we are all living in, whether we like it or not. We are born into this world, and we therefore have to work within the framework of this world, within the boundaries, the restrictions, and the conditions placed upon us in this conventional world. And we need to perform our duties in the conventional world. Therefore, we need to combine 2 areas of expertise. Of course, the first area that all of you know about is this area which is in the area of spiritual leadership. And that would be the spiritual wisdom from the Buddha Dharma. But that alone is not going to be enough for us to be successful and to be effective and to be productive in this conventional world. We need another set of expertise, and that would be the expertise in the conventional knowledge. Knowledge about the conventional world, the realities of this physical world that we have to deal with. And this will lead us to productivity, effectiveness, and efficiency. Productivity is the combination of both being effective at what you do and to become efficient in what you do. Effective simply means you're able to achieve results. Efficiency simply means the ability to achieve results within the limitation of your resources. So therefore, we need to be productive with conventional knowledge. Now, some people, now I'm not referring to anyone in particular, but I have come across monks who actually say, they only need to know about spiritual wisdom. And if you only concern yourself with spiritual wisdom, then it's very difficult for you to actually become productive, to become effective with the people who are not wearing robes and shaven heads. In other words, the lay people. Very difficult to be effective with them if you only concern yourself with spiritual wisdom. So you need to combine it with conventional knowledge. And the area where these 2 overlap, that is the most powerful area. The overlap between spiritual wisdom and conventional knowledge. That will lead you to purposeful success in the conventional world. Now, very important word, purposeful success. So first word, purposeful. That means there is some noble purpose you can accomplish in this conventional world. And success simply means that the effort you have put in will produce the results that are required. So that would be the important accomplishment. Purposeful success in the conventional world. Now, that is basically the overlap between these two areas. I have also come across some monks during the course of the work that I did in the past. I used to do a bit of training for some of the visiting and local monks in the Vihara a few years ago, quite a few sessions of those. I have come across some of those monks who basically say, well, we don't have to learn from lay people, we can just only learn from the Buddha Dharma. That, of course, is some people may hold that view, some monks may hold that view. But then if you want to be successful in a purposeful way in the conventional world, it is important to learn some of this conventional knowledge from lay people. Now, I draw from the Kalama Sutta in a positive way. A lot of people draw from Kalama Sutta in a negative way. How? When there is some teachings they don't want to accept, they will say, oh, the Kalama Sutta said to me, do not believe it just because it is written in the scriptures. Do not believe it because it's passed down from the generations. Do not believe because this person is a famous person. Well, that's not really what that's all about. As I have understood it, the important thing is the Buddha has presented two aspects. You believe it or you do not believe it. So I'm just focused on the aspect that we should accept what is good. And that is basis for acceptance. And this is what the Buddha has actually stated in the Kalama Sutta, that we abide by them and live in accordance with them if we have considered them and found them to be good and wholesome, blameless. It is praised and practiced by the wise. And finally, when we accept it and we undertake it, it leads to welfare and happiness. Basically, these are the four reasons that help us to decide whether something is worth considering or not. So I'm not here to teach you as a monk, as monks. I'm not qualified to do that at this point in time, bearing in mind so many senior monks here. But I'm here to share with you some important knowledge from the conventional world, and I'm also hoping that I can combine some of the important teachings that I've learned from the Buddha Dharma and share with you some extracts from sutras. There are actually quite a few sutras that mention things about leadership in the conventional environment, conventional world, not just about spiritual leadership. So I draw from them, and there's a couple of sutras that are very, very useful. Now, from the conventional world, there is a very important conventional knowledge that we need to know. Every single person, doesn't matter if it is a monk or if it is a samanera or if it is just a lay person, a Buddhist, a Christian, any religion or no religion. Every single one of us have very powerful personal asset that can help us accomplish purposeful success in everything we do. What are they? First, our attitude. So what is attitude? How does attitude help us? Attitude helps us because it helps us to have confidence in what we have to do, to be confident in the things we have to do. Attitude helps us because it helps us to gain some motivation and willpower so that we can go ahead and do what we have to do. The ability to execute. Right? So willpower and motivation comes from our attitude. If your attitude is positive, then you will motivate yourself. If your attitude is negative, then you will demotivate yourself. If you think everything is not going to work, if you think everything will fail, then what you think is a self-fulfilling prophecy. The things that you think will come true. So attitude is very important. And finally, attitude gives us one more important thing called perseverance. What is perseverance? Perseverance means do not give up. Do it in the right way. Do the right things in the right way until you finally succeed. If it doesn't work, you keep trying. If it doesn't work, you re-examine the way you're doing it. Maybe you need to make some adjustment. So attitude helps us to do that. And finally, we can persevere. That means we will see to success, see to it until it comes to fruition, comes to become successful, and not give up halfway down the road. The next thing that we need, the next personal asset, is our skills. So what is it about our skill? Our skill makes us able to do something. You learn how to do something, and then gives you the ability to do it. And skill also makes you competence. When you become skillful, you become competent. Competence simply means doing the right things in the right way. You know what is the right things to do. You've learned how to do it. Now doing it in the right way. That leads to competence. Competence alone is not enough. We've got to take it one step further, and that is diligence. Diligence means everything you do, you ensure there is quality. Everything you do, you make sure it actually produces the results that you expect. That would be diligence. So that is what skill helps us. Finally, one more thing. The third thing we need, because having attitude and skill will not be enough. You need knowledge. What is it about knowledge that you need? It is knowledge to know in what direction you should move in. That means you must know where you are heading. What is it that you are trying to accomplish? You need to know the goals, the objectives. You need to know the methods, because some things you just need to know the methods. Simple things. If you want to present to the lay people today and give a Dharma talk, just sitting there, holding the fan in front of you and just talking and talking and talking and talking and talking and talking, people are not going to get interested. You got to learn some important methods. This is the 21st century. It comes with a microphone, comes with a screen, projector, computer, PowerPoint, a whole lot of things. And you can use them. So learn how to use them. If you want to be leaders in the new millennium, you must learn these methods to help you become more effective, to help you become more efficient, and then you become productive, and then you become purposefully productive. So these are the three important assets every single one of us has: attitude, skill, and knowledge. Without knowledge, you might not be heading in the right direction. Right? Example of knowledge. If you want to go to Penang, you hop into a car. What knowledge do you need? Well, if someone is driving you and you have to tell that person where to go, or you are the one who knows how to drive, the knowledge is finding out what direction you have to go, what map, which highway. If you take the wrong highway, you drive for 6 hours and then you realize you are in Singapore, right? So knowledge leads you in the right direction. If you don't have skill, you hop into the car, you have the keys to the car, you don't know how to drive the car, and you're all by yourself without the skill, how can you start the engine and go anywhere? So skill is important. The same thing with all these computers. You can be equipped with this computer, and you can be equipped with all these gadgets to help you. If you don't have the skill to use them, then you can't take advantage of what is provided for you. And attitude. Attitude is important, because if you don't have the right attitude, as soon as you do something that might not be perfectly accurate, and then something goes wrong, and your attitude is negative, and then something goes wrong and say, oh, nah, I give up. I can't do it. I can't use this computer. I am not trained how to use this computer, right? So all these three are important. And these three are your personal asset. Every single human has these assets. The question is whether they are positive or they are negative. The question is whether you make use of them or you don't make use of them. And then the next thing we need to know is our knowledge. What is it that we are trying to accomplish? Where is it that we are going? Whether we are speaking about this temple, Buddhist Maha Vihara, or we're speaking about the temple in Sentul, or we're speaking about any Buddhist temple or Buddhist community centers, there are some very important things that we need to understand about these centers. First thing is the aspiration. What is it that this particular Vihara wants to accomplish, or the Sentul Vihara, right? You have to do a proper vision and mission planning. So you need to know what is the aspiration, what does the Vihara want to accomplish. So I'm only familiar with the one that is used here at the Buddhist Maha Vihara, and that is mentioned there, right? To be the leading international center for the learning, practice, and dissemination of the Buddha Dharma. So this is what this Vihara aspires to become. Aspiration alone is not enough. You need to set certain goals, certain mission, right? You need to set the milestones. What are the things you have to accomplish along the way? So you need objectives, or you can call them milestones, you can call them goals. So there are a number of objectives already developed within this Vihara. That is to provide a conducive environment. Conducive to who? Conducive to lay people, conducive to the public, conducive to anybody who chooses to walk in, conducive to even attracting people to come. That is what conducive means. Something that attracts people to come, to do something here, to stay and continue the work here. That would be conducive. From my own personal experience, it had been very conducive for me, so I'm still around. If this Vihara was not conducive to what I'm doing, I won't be standing here, you see? So it's very important for you to recognize that, whether it is this Buddhist Maha Vihara you're talking about, or the Sentul Vihara, or any Buddhist center you may be attached to in the future, very important to create a conducive environment. It's not up to other people to do it. It is up to the leaders within the Vihara. And monks are important part of this leadership. When we speak of leadership of a temple, it is not just one person making all the decision. It is the committee, it is the spiritual advisor, it is the chief reverend, it is the monks living there who participate in the whole activity. So it's very important. So what are some of the objectives? To promote scholarship and study of the Buddha Dharma, to propagate the Buddha Dharma, to be the focus of Buddhist activities for the larger community, and to foster the Theravada Buddhist cultural and traditional practices. That is really what is the objective of this Buddhist Maha Vihara. And it is very important that for the leader to decide and to work together with the people involved and make a decision what is the aspiration of your center and what is the objective. In order to achieve this objective, who are you serving? You're serving the community. So when you serve the community, it is called community services. Any monk here who is not interested to serve the community, you should be a forest monk. Go into the forest, stay there, don't come out. That you don't have to worry about the community. You don't have to worry about community services. But as soon as you come to civilization, as soon as you begin getting involved with environment in the city, in any temple, in any Buddhist center, in any community center, you need to concern yourself with community services. That the center you are in is there to serve the community. And there are two important aspects in any form of community service. The first aspect is the people dimension. People and relationship. The second aspect is the resources, the tasks and resources. So they call it the processes. It's two P's, people and processes. So people is talking about the people in the temple and the people that the temple is engaged with and the relationships. The processes, we're talking about the tasks and the resources and the systems. So what about the people? What do you have to do? You have to be able to reach out to the people. You have to be able to communicate and inspire the people. Inspiration is the most important quality of any leader. And you have to be able to collaborate with people, work with people to accomplish common objectives. And as a leader, you then need to be able to teach, to advise, to guide, and to assist the people. And that is the people dimension. Now, when we speak of the task and resources or the process dimension, then what do we have? As monks, you do have a role to play. You can't say, oh, all the systems and the resources, it's not my business. Let the caretaker take care of it. That's why we hire the caretaker. That is not true. You have a role. What are your roles when it comes to resources, systems, right? Your role is to advise. Advise on the goals and objectives to make sure that whatever goals and objectives they set are consistent with virtues and good morality and wholesome activities. You need to advise about the virtuous methods, that the methods you do are in compliance with the Buddhist aspiration of virtues, and the approaches, the way things are done. You need to advise on planning and organizing, that they are also practicing in a virtuous manner. You need to advise on problem solving, that problems are solved in accordance with the aspirations of the Buddha Dharma. And finally, all these are just helping an organization do something, but it is important for the organization to know where it is going, and that is where the purpose comes in. Purpose is about aspirations, objectives, and virtues. I made this specifically for a Buddhist center, whereas when I do this kind of training in a professional environment, the words will be a bit different, right? But specifically for any temple and Buddhist center, then it is aspirations, objectives, and virtues. So these are very important framework to help you as a leader in any organization that you're going to be involved in, Buddhist organizations. Now, I'm going to focus specifically on people, because when we speak of leadership, the most important thing to consider is people. The leader's role is the role of working with people. Now, I'd like to quote one interesting sutra that it is found in many sutras, okay? Where in one particular sutra, which is the Upada Sutra, Samyutta Nikaya 45.2, where Ananda was saying to Buddha that he had a thought. He thought, admirable friendship, admirable companionship, and admirable camaraderie is half the holy life. That's what Ananda was saying to the Buddha. And Buddha said, Ananda, admirable friendship, admirable companionship, admirable camaraderie is not half the holy life. It is the whole of the holy life. In other words, as long as you are working in the community, every monk has an important responsibility towards working with people all the time, continuously, consistently, not just half the time. It's the whole of your holy life. How? How can a monk do that? Very simple. Very important, and this is from conventional knowledge. How a monk can develop himself as a leader. Specifically the topic, how a monk can be the natural leader. There are 5 ways that you need to approach how to become a leader. What 5 ways? First, you have to learn how to reach out to people. If you can't reach out to people, then people will not be able to understand what you're trying to do. You need to reach out to them. Reaching out simply means connecting with them, networking with them, getting to know them. Know who they are. Know who your devotees are. Don't treat people who come to the temple like they are anonymous. They come and they go and you don't know who they are. So you got to learn to reach out to them. As a leader, you need to learn how to communicate with them. Reaching out is the first thing. Communicating is the second thing. Now, why do you need to reach out and communicate with them? You need to inspire them. You need to inspire and motivate them so that they're able to follow the teachings of the Buddha, so that they're able to listen to you. And not only that, just inspiring and motivating them is not enough. You got to make things happen. How do you make things happen? You collaborate with them, work with them, work together with them. You can't do it by yourself. They can't do it without you. So it's a win-win situation. Collaborate with them. And finally, as a spiritual advisor, a spiritual leader to the people in the areas of the Buddha Dharma, you are there to teach them, advise them, guide them, and assist them. These are the 5 ways you can develop yourself to become a leader. Okay? And what are some of the important things you have to advise, guide, and teach them about? And this is already mentioned. It is leadership by example. You have to show the example. And mentioned in one of the sutras are the conditions for welfare of lay people. And your role is there to help them to make sure that everything they do in these areas are in compliance with the aspirations of virtue, right? The aspirations of tranquility, and the aspirations of wholesomeness in the Buddhist community. So these are some of the things mentioned in the sutra, so I won't go into the sutra. Basically, it's about persistent effort, watchfulness and accomplishment of protection of the resources, building good friendship, companionship, and camaraderie, and balanced living to be able to safeguard and conserve the resources and not run out of resources, building confidence and devotion, which is my understanding of faith. Faith is not blind faith. It is building confidence and devotion. Virtues, things that we do that are virtuous, charity and generosity, and finally, wisdom. These are the areas you can help to assist, to guide, to teach, and to advise the people. Now, I'm going to draw from a very interesting sutra. This is, in fact, I was very happy when I came across this sutra and discovered that a lot of things mentioned there are actually already also known in the conventional world to be important aspects of leadership. So if I were to say what is one sutra that actually highlights leadership by example, then I would say this sutra. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. Chanki Sutra. Is it Chanki? Chanki Sutra? Because I think there are some other ways of pronouncing it. Okay, Chanki Sutra, Majjhima Nikaya 95. Very importantly, the story begins by talking about Chanki. Chanki was the ruler of that area. And in fact, in some of the excerpts of this sutra, that first portion was omitted. But it is a very important portion. That portion was talking about Chanki, who heard that the Buddha and a large community of Sangha has arrived at the town of Upasada. And Chanki was very excited to want to go and meet the Buddha. And he told his people that he's going to see the Buddha. But his people advised him, "No, sir, do not go to see the Buddha. The Buddha should come to see you." Why? Because you are the leader. You are of noble birth, right? You are the ruler of this land. Therefore, it is the Buddha who should come to see you, not you who should go to see the Buddha. But Chanki turned it down and said to his people, that should not be the way. Right? I'm not going to go too deep into the details, but basically, Chanki said that he chooses to go to see the Buddha because he recognizes the virtues of the Buddha, he recognizes the important contributions of the Buddha, and he disregards the fact that he himself is the ruler. He puts Buddha above himself and says, I should be the one to go and see the Buddha. Now, what did he do? As a leader, he actually showed leadership by example. So all of you should learn a lesson from this. I would actually very much advise those who have not spent a lot of time studying this sutra in great detail to do that now. When you go back, treat this sutra as an important lesson on leadership. So what did Chanki do? First, he was humble. He was humble to other people. And being humble simply means do not be arrogant. Do not think, oh, I'm the ruler of this land. I don't have to go and see the Buddha. The Buddha has to come and see me. Or if you happen to run your own little temple and you heard someone has arrived at the door, at the gate, wanting to see let's say you are now the chief monk of your own temple and wanting to see the chief monk, don't think, why should I go and meet him? Why don't I wait for him to come and see me? So don't be arrogant, be humble. And what else did Chanki do in this? What was the other leadership example? The other leadership example is that be respectful. Respect is a two-way street. If you want the people to respect you, you respect the people. Don't wait for other people to respect you first. Now, I am not pointing to anyone in particular, and I hope the chief does not reprimand anyone here, but I have seen so many cases, some of the monks, not everyone, just a few odd ones, sitting there, and then there are devotees coming in. Some of them are actually first-timers, and then they see a monk, and they go like that to the monk. And what did the monk do? The monk didn't respond. And that's not good, you know? People are respecting you. Have at least the decency to acknowledge that respect. If you don't want to do this back to them, at least smile at them. Nod your head. Acknowledge. A good smile will do. Smiling is very important. Smiling is the most powerful connecting force between two people. And this is one thing that nobody can actually turn away. If somebody frowns at you, you might turn away. But if somebody smiles at you, it's very difficult to turn your head away. So smiling is an important thing because later on I will talk more about smiling. So very important. When devotees come in and they go like that to you, you can find your own way to connect with people. Right? Don't be arrogant. Respect that they have respected you. If you don't want to respect them individually, at least respect the fact that they have respected you. And finally, the third thing that Chanki did was that he reached out to people. He went out of his way, okay? And that is very important. Do not wait for people to come to see you. If there is someone there and you think that there's something that that person needs, go out. Reach out to people. So this is a simple example of leadership by example by Chanki, who is the leader, a ruler of that area, Upasada. But despite being the so-called the leader or the king, you can call it, the king of that land, he still went out. He was humble, he was respectful, and he reached out to see the Buddha. Now, further on in the sutra, I'm not going into the whole sutra, but I'm just picking out bits and pieces that are very helpful. There is an important question about seeing the truth and realizing only this is true. And the Buddha basically taught three important things, right, to this young monk, Karpathika, basically. And he actually calls him Bharavaja, okay? So, safeguarding or preserving the truth, awakening, discovering the truth. Now, this awakening and discovering the truth in the sutra, there is a very important part. where it's talking about living example of practicing the truth. What is awakening to or discovering of the truth? In the sutra, it is very clearly mentioned that people see you by the examples you do. Whether you are practicing something and in your practice they can see there is no greed. In your practice they can see there is no hatred. In your practice they can see there is no delusion. Then they will believe you. They will be able to understand what it is that you're trying to do. So that is a very important part of the sutra. And finally, the last one is about the final attainment or arrival at the truth. Okay. For the final attainment, arrival of the truth, the question was asked by the young monk to the Buddha. What is the most helpful for the final arrival at truth? And Buddha said, striving. Now I'm taking two translations. One translation is from Bhikkhu Bodhi, the other translation is from Thanissaro Bhikkhu. But both of them are consistent. So the first one is about striving, which is also exertion. Then what is most helpful for striving? Asked the young monk, and the Buddha replied, scrutiny, and that is contemplation. What is most helpful for contemplation or scrutiny? Then it is application of the will or being willing. What is most helpful for application of the will? And that is zeal and motivation. What is most helpful for zeal and motivation? It is reflective acceptance or purposeful pondering. And what is most helpful for purposeful pondering? It is examination of the meaning, the insight. And what is most helpful for examination of the meaning? It is memorizing, remembering and recalling. And what is most helpful for memorizing? It is hearing the Dharma. And what is most helpful for hearing the Dharma? It is lending an ear to the Dharma, willing to listen. And what is most helpful for willing to listen? It is paying respect, growing close, connecting with the people. And what is most helpful for paying respect and growing close? And that is visiting, networking with the people. And what is most helpful? It is confidence, devotion, which is translated as word faith. I think the word is sada. Okay, and conviction. I think Thanissaro Bhikkhu said conviction. So these are the 12 steps or stages that lead to that. So this is very interesting part. But actually it is finally the last part that is very, very important for you to understand. So I hope all of you, when you go back, you get a chance, spend more time, go deep into the sutra and pick out what are important aspects in there. Reasons to take refuge. Why do people want to take refuge in the Buddha, in the Dharma, and in the Sangha? Very importantly, it is from leadership by example from all of you as monks. So there was a question being asked to the Buddha, right? Or rather, it was a question that was raised. Who are these bald-headed people in robes, right, that were called recluse? But very importantly, the young monk and his friends basically says that the Buddha has indeed inspired in them the love for the Sangha, the confidence in the Sangha, and reverence for the Sangha. Okay, so if you really want to be a leader, it is very important for you to realize that you need to inspire people to respect you and to love the things that you do, and inspire people to have confidence in what you're doing, in confidence in the Buddha Dharma, and inspire people to revere you, to venerate you. Right? You are people of veneration. That's why you come with the title Venerable. You are called venerable because you are worthy of veneration. And in some cases, you're called reverend. You're called reverend because you are worthy of reverence. Right? Therefore, it is very important for you to become leaders in the new millennium by practicing these important things to help establish yourself to be worthy of reverence. Finally, talked about smile. All these wonderful monks and smiling. Oh, one is not a monk, sorry. Not yet. Okay. So you can see, right? Monks smile. And these are some of the top names, right? We're not just talking about any monk. These are all the leaders of big places, leader monks. They all learn how to smile. So why don't every one of you learn how to smile? Because smiling is very important. A smile speaks 1,000 words from the heart. And it's a message from the heart because the smile is an acronym. Acronym that is the message from the heart, S-M-I-L-E. What does S stand for? S stands for sincere. It expresses your genuine intention and joy in meeting and greeting people. That is the S part, the sincere part. What does M stand for? M stands for magnanimous. Magnanimous means very generous, more than generous. It is your warm-hearted generosity and happiness in welcoming people. That is magnanimous. Smile, S-M-I. What does I stand for? I stands for inspiring. You are inspiring. You have to inspire in people. Right? You inspire what? You inspire the essence of loving kindness, metta, in people, so that people will be able to treat each other with respect, treat each other with love, and work with each other for peace. So it is important as a leader to inspire people. In fact, inspiration is the most important quality of a leader, to inspire people. And L stands for what? Likeable. You express your friendly disposition, your true nature, and your charisma. And finally, E for what? E for enthusiastic. Right? You motivate people to be happy and delighted to be of service. Basically, that is what SMILE stands for. Sincere, magnanimous, inspiring, likable, and enthusiastic. And finally, in summary, Buddhist monk as the natural leader, learning from the Chanki Sutra. Very importantly, learn to reach out to people, to communicate with people, inspire and motivate people, collaborate with people, teach, advise, guide, and assist people so that you are able to inspire in them the love for the Sangha, the confidence in the Sangha, and the reverence for the Sangha. Thank you very much. I have come to the end of my sharing. So I hope this has been useful to you.